last 1 month or so, what you have been calling us for, it's very depressing for me.
Yeah.
Because you are just saying jump suddenly.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to come to Satsang at all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I cannot go back to the whatever is the usual, because that's, the situation is very depressing. That's just wanted to tell you.
Yes. That's the auspicious fire. Because you're stuck, I'm stuck. Both are stuck. So in the stuckness that you're experiencing, what is burning?
False, earlier I used to have false imagination of, okay, I will have such a plans for future, so and so. Now it all looks like, that's what, depressing. So those things are burning.
Oh. Can the truth burn? Can the truth burn? So in satsang, when many of us are faced with this situation, that there seems to be a conflict between what we wanted, what we thought even satsang is leading to, versus the requirement to completely jump. And the jump is to completely jump out of our identity into the heart of God, into the heart of presence. But that means that we have to become completely empty and completely naked to everything that we thought our life is going to be. So what is burning is the desire to still hold on to some individuality while meeting God. The truth cannot burn. God cannot burn. The self cannot burn. But our idea of enlightenment, which has been that I will have a merry relationship with God, instead of becoming completely empty, and that emptiness can feel like a death, but it is the death of only the false. It is the death of identity. It is the death of desire, expectation, pride, narratives. But many of us still feel that, yes, coming to satsang, we are coming to a point that he's saying it's not about you. But really he's saying that so that I will finally get it. Is it? Or if I believe what he's saying, then I will finally get it. Is it? So the I manages to hold on to some relevance and power, even through a very clear pointing that for God to be, you cannot. See, it's either God or me. It can sound like very poetic and beautiful words. It sound like very poetic and beautiful words. All of us have said, my life is for God. My life is surrendered to you, Father. But when push comes to shove, no, but what about me? Am I really getting somewhere? Is it? So, life is forcing us to meet what our lips have already claimed. If there is nothing left of you, then nothing can burn. If burning is happening, then that is good. Would you rather have the garbage within you than to let it burn? You see? Just don't expect that burning to be fun. You see? I want to burn, Father. Father, burn me, everything, please let it burn. And you feel like when the burning will come, because you have made that prayer, it won't feel like burning. You see? But if you have prayed, let it burn, and because we are holding on to some dark spots and blind spots, we don't even realize how right we think we are. When that comes to get burned, it will not feel like fun, and that is why it's called burning. It's not called flowering. It's called burning. And just by virtue of you considering yourself to be spiritual, doesn't mean that the burning will feel like a bed of roses now. It's still going to burn, and maybe even more intensely, because you have asked for it. You have said burn the false. And it has to burn. Because when a child is holding on to their rattle so strongly, you see, but the rattle is now infected with disease, and the parent snatches the rattle out of their hand, no child feels like, oh, my parent is helping me. The same way we hold on to false identity, thinking that is helpful. Nobody holds a belief thinking it's true, of thinking it's false. All the beliefs that we have, we only consider to be true, isn't it? So whatever you take to be true will be burnt in this fire of satsang. You think up is up and down is down? Pakka? If you think up is up and down is down, it is going to burn. If you think yesterday was yesterday and tomorrow is tomorrow, that is going to burn. What you take to be true. You take yourself to be somebody that is at the center of all your narratives. If all of your spiritual journey is about you, that is going to burn. And may it burn fast. The one who is seeking God, may that burn. Because that one wants God for what? Yeah? In a self-serving way, no? In a self-serving way. God, please help me. So on which side of the equation is truth and what side is false? God, please help me. Yeah? The first is true or the second? God is true or me is true? Okay, I need to wake up. All of
No,
you.
we wake up.
What is the shape of a spiritual seeker?
I am seeking. I am seeking.
So you see a body. How can you tell that they are a spiritual seeker or not a spiritual seeker? No, you can't. Body is body unless they are dressed in a religious way or something. No? Then what happens when you talk to them?
They have a belief they're looking for themselves or God.
They have a belief and they may express that belief saying, I'm looking for God, I'm looking for the self. You see? So now the I that is looking and the one that is looked for, both can't be true. Because this is Advaita after all, there are no two. You see? So either the one that is looking is false or the one that is looked for is false. See?
is praying different than saying God for me?
How do we pray? What is the prayer?
So if I say, if I am doing something, so if I'm doing something, I'm going to start something new, I'll say, Father, please help me do it.
Yes.
Or if
Yes.
someone is ill, then I pray, Father, please take care of the other person.
Yes.
Let them.
Yes.
Even
So,
in all of that, is it not asking my will to be done?
yes. Yes. And that is why in some way that the highest prayer is, let thy will be done. You see? You pray and say, let me take an example of a prayer. If something concerns you see, one idea is why is prayer helpful? Because the idea is that it's bothering us. Oh, this girl is not liking me, for example. Right? I like her, she is not liking me. Right? So then we say, no, but I'm the self. But we continue to be bothered by it. We're still believing into those notions. So we get into a sort of a denial about it rather than truly bringing it to God and say, I'm being concerned with this. You see? I'm bringing it to you. I'm bringing it to the light of my presence. And if you have a strong desire about it, you may still say, I have this expectation, I have this desire which I am bringing to you. Do with it as you will and as is your will. I'm attached to what I want in this situation. But give me the openness to surrender it at your feet. You see? So, to recognize the folly in wanting your will and to accept that this is where I am and to bring it to God and request God's intervention in becoming open to God's will is beautiful because it is full of integrity. So, what is the error? What is the error? The error is only that after coming into the presence of God, we still want to do things my way or God's way, or the mind's way or the individual's way. That is the error. No? If you're finding God, then follow God's will. If you're not finding God, then with every bit of might that you have, find God. But to find God and then follow my way, which is the mind's way, is there. And if you're still very attracted to that, you can bring it to God in your prayer. So that you don't hide it away or push it under the carpet. So, the first step is to really find God. It can sound strange. The first step is to find God. Where is God to be found? How to find God?
Being state. Your being state.
As your being. How to find this being?
Self is apparent. And the self is apparent.
Yes, but suppose the self is not apparent.
can call your God who you like.
Use pointers.
Whatever, spiritual pointers, spiritual inquiry, surrender, prayer, whatever. You can follow the scent of love in your heart. Where is it coming from? You can check whether you can stop being. Whose being is that? This is God's presence. Finding it or not? Because I don't want to have, especially today, I don't have the energy to have conceptual conversations and discourses on spirituality. I never had the energy for that anyway. Are you finding it or no? That is the main thing. If you're not finding it, everything that you have must be in service to this discovery. All the pointers are available to you, all the tools are available to you. Once you are finding it, then surrender to that, which means only two things. Which means to live moment to moment in the light of the presence. And secondly, to follow if there is a clear expression of that will, which is pointing us in some way. That's what it is to follow God's will. Is it? That's the simplicity of life then. But if you try to juggle it, say, yeah, God is there, but God can't handle my something, practical life, my something. That is when we get into error again. We feel that I need to become individualistic about something. See, that is an error again. So when I ask you, are you living in God's light? That's all I'm asking. And even if you spend the next 100 lifetimes doing this, they'll be worth it. But if you spend the next 100 lifetimes in a zombie state of a lifeless life which is not energized, not shining in the light of God's light, but in the ego shadow, in the mind's individuality, might as well not have lived at all. See? And then when the mind tries to fake it by still being the primary, and therefore then everything is about me and God also is about me, then me is the primary, then that is a fake spirituality. Fake spirituality is when we are elevating the ego to such a point that even God must be in service to that. So to ask God for help is very different from in the guise of wanting help, wanting your will to be done. Very different. Is it? Have you seen, those of us who are parents have seen this in our kids? No? In a very young age, by the time they are 5 or 6 years old, kids become master psychologists and manipulators. They can use every trick in the book, everything. But there are times where the child will honestly ask you for help. And there are times where the child will try to get you to dance to their tunes. You see? Both can sound like prayers, but only one is a genuine prayer. Are you able to make this now? You see? There are times where children will say, if I say this to Pa, he will get like this because all I have to do is make this face and say please. They're very good at that. You see? You see? But then as a parent you always have a sense of it. If not always, mostly. You see, and our true parent always has a sense of it. You see? So we cannot, even if we are lying to ourselves, we can never lie to our heart. Our pretend spirituality may fool even our mind, but cannot fool our heart. So if you say that you are spiritual, you must mean that your life is for God now, not the other way around. And how to make your life for God? Come to the presence, to the light of God, and allow that light to unfold this universe. Or if you take this body to be you, then allow this light to unfold this body as it will. At which step is there trouble? Finding God? Be honest. This is the chance to really clarify.
What's that question?
Yeah?
At which step?
At which step is there trouble? I'm sorry, I may be super inarticulate today.
Finding God.
It's finding the trouble. Okay, others?
For me, the finding becomes apparent, but the surrendering, because so much suddenly starts becoming whatever.
Yes.
And then just some confusion comes and
Yes.
it just gets taken over and then it subsides. But it's like surrender.
Okay, so let's take it step by step. Are you present now? Are you present? What do you mean when you say I am present?
Checking into my alertness or awareness.
Alertness, awareness, very good. What else?
I am here.
I am here. What do you mean? Are you referring to the perception of a body being here? Is that what you mean? Slowly. Okay. Look at this. When we say I am here, I could look at the body and say, yeah, I am here. I am the body, I am here. But when we say I am here, what are we referring to?
Being in touch with the energy field, vibration, the subtle vibration, the sense of infinite light, that sort of primordial sense that you exist.
Yes.
Without the words, before
Yes.
the words.
Yes.
The first
Now,
thing when you woke
is
up. in the
that
morning.
confirmation that I am dependent on what is being perceived or independent of that?
Independence.
Can you please repeat that?
Is the confirmation that I am independent of what is being perceived or dependent on what is being perceived? Independent. Does that presence, it's okay if you say presence, all of you are meeting in this way, does that presence have a name inherently? You with me, Gayatri? We can go slower if you want. Able to meet this? Because my feeling is that even if this is the only satsang here, huh, then you should be able to meet what I'm saying, because I want to make it really apparent. Yeah. So, does this presence have a name inherently?
No.
Does it have a form inherently? Are we checking and reporting? Or we know? I know we know the right answer. The idea is to confirm. So, this is actually an astounding discovery that within you there is a presence that is nameless and formless. See,
There is a feel.
there is a
Very
feel.
subtle feel.
Yes,
Not form and
yes, very subtle feel, like a primordial vibration. Because you cannot say this is where it starts, this is where it is. Many of you, like me, may say it seems to have its core experienced in the heart. Of course, not the physical heart, the heart of this. So, isn't this an astounding discovery that I take myself to be the body? I take myself to have a name, to have relationships, to have a house, to have family, to have money, all of that. But independent of all of this, all of you are claiming that there is a presence within you. Now that is worth investigating, because you better find out what kind of presence it is. Anyone left behind, you can rewind and recap as much as you like.
It's not so subtle for me, whatever
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
It's very like, I can't describe it, but because the mind can't grasp it or make
Yeah.
sense of it,
Yeah.
so it doesn't stay there, it runs away. And then
We'll come to the running away in a bit, but can you confirm when you check it is there?
it is there for a brief moment. Yeah.
Okay, see how fast it goes? I'm saying stay with it. Tell me if it goes by itself. You don't go, see if it goes. See, it's okay.
I can't confirm.
It's important to then keep your focus on this contemplation. No? Because my submission to you is that this presence is always available as long as you are awake. Your trouble is only in the waking state. So, as long as you are awake, it is always there. So, when I ask you, can you stop being? Try to not be. What do you notice then?
Strengthening of the vibration. Yes.
Yes, I don't think I can stop being, but I just.
No, I don't care what you think. Sorry.
Yes,
What is it that you find? When I say, can you stop being? It's an invitation to try, not looking for a long-term answer. Try to not be is the question, really.
It's not important.
It's not.
Important if I think this is just a thought, not being. I just feel.
Anything that's happening in your mind intellect is unimportant. Yeah? Just try to not be. Try to not think about not being. Actually, don't be. Even if it sounds absurd.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Why is it impossible? On what basis do you make that claim? On what insight do you make that claim? Not just a thought, no? Isn't it?
I can't say.
But you can find, or is your claim baseless because there is no thought confirming it? And there's no rush at all, because here in this so-called spiritual journey that I had, with Nisargadatta Maharaj, and I am that. I was probably quote unquote stuck here for 3 years almost, maybe 2 years or 3 years. Because he kept saying, stay with the sense of being, stay with the sense of being. What is the sense of being? I can't find it for a long time. Is it? And then one day, just sitting in auto rickshaw going from here to office, it became apparent, and I was like, what? This is always here? Is it? But before that, if somebody had told me it's always there, it would irritate me. But then when it was found it is always there, it seemed like, how did I ever not have this? Is it? So I'm completely open. If you say, I wish at some point, of course, like just to say that if somebody had told me, can I stop being rather than trying to look for the being, that inversion may have helped in the looking, but I really can't confirm that. See, I can't confirm that because all of this is coming when the light of presence is so apparent. So you have to say, when you try to stop being, we see that it is impossible. You see, it is very different from we thinking or knowing conceptually that it is impossible. Isn't it? To have an insight that it is impossible is to realize that there is a palpable being. And its palpableness, although perceptually may be minimal, but its palpability intuitively is vast. It may sound like academic words. So what I'm saying is that although like Anup, you may say that it's a very subtle experience of a feeling, but intuitively you experience this being much vaster than that subtle feeling. Lost everyone? No. Still with you? Yes? Okay. So I'm saying with whatever tool you may be experiencing your presence, your being, that is not important. As long as you confirm that you are. Everyone together?
You said to him that if it's going, and get that good, you stay. So when I'm doing
I said to him that my submission is that it will not go.
but
You see, but you may go in terms of the returning to the hypnosis of the mind or not. So if you stay, it cannot go.
so I follow that, and then as I stay, that same staying just feels like the presence, it just becomes present. If it, many things. So I used to also feel that it's just momentary and gone. And then when I just left my attention.
Is the presence momentary or is your lack of mental hypnosis momentary? Because if I propose to all of you that the presence is palpable as long as you are not under mental hypnosis, and even under mental hypnosis, the presence is there, but it does not seem to be. What would you say? Forget about the second part, first part.
Yes.
The presence of your being, the presence of God's being is always here, and it is palpable as long as we are not under the hypnosis of a thought. That is why to be open and empty is just to be empty of the hypnosis. It's an empty, conceptual emptiness, empty of concepts, where God's light is apparent. Is God's light here or not?
Yes.
Because that forms the fundamental basis of our spirituality. Without that, there is no spirituality. in the moment where you're empty of your head, which means that individuality has been dropped, God's light is apparent. Tell me if there's a step where you're stuck.
So at this stage, even I lose the ability of doing, even if that doing is telling you about.
Okay, but to come to this point, anything stuck? We'll capture what happens after this.
No. Even telling no, I am losing it.
Okay, we'll take to come to God's light, to come to the presence of being. Whatever term you use, and there's so many terms. You may say Atma, you may say God's presence, you may say my presence, you may say beingness. And we'll evaluate the qualitative difference between being and beingness in a moment. But just to come to beingness, and although this may be the first step in our spirituality, this becomes the foundation of a steady life in God. See, and we've already come a long way from our mental spirituality, which is mostly just wanting things and wanting experiences and God to help us and having a cheat code in life wherever anytime I get in trouble, I enter the cheat code and ta-da, I'm fine. You see? So we've gone far away from that kind of spirituality into building the true foundation of a true life, of the only life worth living, which is in God's light. And I say that in reference to everything else being temporary and ephemeral, therefore passing away.
So it's just a presence, nothing spectacular about it, but it's very clear its presence.
Listen, you have a presence within you. Isn't that spectacular? You thought you were a bundle of flesh. So, why? I'm not just shouting at you, I'm just saying, look at the mind's interpretation of this. If a friend came to you before you were spiritual and said, my friend, there's a presence inside me, you would say, you're losing your marbles, there's something wrong with you. Isn't it? So it's not nothing. You're confirming, quote unquote, within you, there's a presence. Isn't that absurd already? There's a presence within you. You see, in spirituality, what happens to us is we become very jaded. Oh, God's presence is here. God's presence is here. Yeah, but God's presence is here. You see, how can there be a yeah, but? Unless there's a doubt about that presence or that it belongs to God. So, isn't it already spectacular that there's a luminous presence within you? Which is unchanging, because every other experience, every other fireworks will come and go. But there's an unchanging presence within you. Your Atma is already here, always here. Not for the mind, but for you, this must be a beautiful foundation, beautiful recognition.
You said luminous and light, there are no such things. All I can confirm very clearly is
Yes, it's not a light like a light bulb. It's not a light like a light bulb. But in the presence of whom am I experiencing the light of the light bulb? Don't rush. Just confirm this. In which light, and I am calling it light, you can look at it as presence. In whose existence are you experiencing the presence of light? And without the existence of that, then even the brightest light of the sun, it vanishes. What is that being? What is that consciousness? What is that beingness? And then I ask you, does that presence have boundaries? You say no. I know you'll say no. There's a boundless presence that you can experience now within yourself, and you can always experience it. Isn't that stunning? So when we say it's not something special, we got it all upside down. No, we're waiting for fireworks which will come and go. So those who are waiting for the temporal, those who are waiting for the ephemeral, things that just come and go, they say, what's so special about this? There's a palpable presence which is not just thinking, we are not thinking about your Atma or your being anymore. You're meeting it. But the mind will come and say, but is that it? Whose presence is this? And if it is something, is that it? Then it should have a boundary. No? This being whose presence you are experiencing, this being whose presence you are experiencing. So the presence is not the entirety of it, but look at it as a gift from it. Because in our human condition, we are so caught up in perception that it gives you the scent of it to pull you into its vastness through your heart where the presence is being experienced. Because if God and its being, the Saguna Brahman, would also then be completely unfathomable and unperceivable to us, then it would just seem like unattainable. But there is a gift available to us as our own Atma, as our own beingness. Which we can grab. Because that is the portal into the unfathomable reality of yourself. Many of these words may not make sense to you yet, and that's fine, because at least they are being met somewhere.
So are you saying that the experience of being is the entry point for the portal?
The experience of this presence, the presence of being.
Presence, okay.
You experience the presence of being, or what I'm calling the beingness, as the presence of being. You see, where do you experience the presence of being?
Somewhere.
Somewhere, no? But when I ask you, does this being have a location or boundary? You say no. So that which is boundless you cannot perceive, and yet its presence you can. Okay? So don't discount it under any mental thing saying, oh, but there's a presence living, provisionally we can say within you. Within you there's a presence living. It's living within the real you, but for now it may seem like it's really living within me. Isn't it important to investigate which presence that is, whose presence that is? Or should we spend our entire life chasing things on the outside, not even bothering about the presence which is within us, a living presence? Please tell me.
Whose presence can you again talk more? When you say whose presence?
I'm first emphasizing the importance of that looking. Because the mind will discount it and say, no, but I have an email to send. There's a presence living inside you. You see? Isn't it important to discover whose it is?
You were mentioning about the last satsang or some previous satsang about the iceberg, that the tip of the
Yeah.
iceberg or the
Yeah.
beingness, you can feel it, right?
Yes,
Perfume
exactly.
of the beingness.
Yes, otherwise it'd be completely unreachable where we are in the human condition to talk of meeting God.
And
We're so attached to name and form. You see? So like I was saying, this is like the portion of the cloth. Then you can meet, but it's the meeting of the entirety of it. As you meet God's presence, you're meeting the entirety of God. But so that's why I've been calling this God's toenail. So you're meeting God's presence, which you can hold on to. As long as we think there is something left to us, that as long as we believe that I am something, we have this available to us to hold on to. And do you know who this is? This is the light of God, this is the Sadguru presence, this is your intuition, this is divinity, this is your Atma, this is beingness, this is your guide, it is the creator of this universe, and it sustains it and it destroys it. All that we can fathom in the human condition is this. That same light, that same presence is also guiding you, is the Sadguru presence. When you rest in this presence, all your concerns and conditions and worries fade away. All guidance that you need is available to you. The truth of who you are becomes apparent to you. Your timeless reality is found here. There is nothing that we can say or do, or the mind can say or do, which can discount the value of this in our life, because without this we are dead already. You see? But most of us are living as if it is not present, and that is living as if we are dead already. This is the denial of God's light. This is the very meaning of ego. You see? The denial of this presence, that there is something beyond me that already is here. A denial of that is to take yourself to be just a bundle of flesh, which is not alive anyway. It's just food. Without this life, this is just food. You see, this is the light in which prana is born. And is regulated in whose light? Who's allocating life force and energy to this body, and who decides when it goes? This very presence. You see? Without the will of this presence, you may do all the pranayama in the world and nothing will change. Because prana is only regulated, life energy, life force is only regulated by this. You may attach a pump to a body that is dead and make the pump move in the rhythmic patterns of a breathing exercise. Nothing will happen. No prana will come. You see? Because life is not there. What is life? It is life within you. It is life within you which you are neglecting for that which is already dead. And even if you don't say anything about the body, the one that you take yourself to be was never born. It's not even imagination. It's just a belief, just a notion. Is it? So this giver of life, this presence, this guide, this comforter is available to us in the form of our beingness, in the form of the Sadguru presence. All the forms of the Master that you see around you have only one job, which is to bring you to this. That's all. Because without this, any talk further is not possible. Any talk of awareness and the unbounded being is just conceptual without this. In this presence, that inside that discovery comes alive. Otherwise, it's conceptual. Now that you have found it, don't leave it no matter what the temptation in life. And that temptation can be good sounding or bad sounding. So the temptation could be, okay, leave it. Because good stuff will come. Is it? Or you have to leave it because then you have to, if you don't, then your life is going really out of place and you see. This is the power of the light within you, the presence within you. This is the presence around which we said this is the Atma Gyan Kendra. To get the true knowledge of the Atma, this is the Atma. And before we can come to or claim an insight into the Paramatma, before we can talk about being and awareness, it cannot be met without meeting this intuition, meeting the Sadguru presence. It can only be conceptualized without it. Who is the true master without this light? Just an idea. Just an idea. Oh, maybe Bhagavan is the master. Oh, Guruji. Oh, no. We can debate it on our head like this. But can we meet the true master without this light of our presence? You say, oh, my ultimate reality is awareness. Oh, you say, no, awareness is just a functioning of your brain. You see, scientists have concluded this. You say, no, my master says it's awareness. No, but these scientists say, you see, and then we can become a debate because it's only conceptual. But met in the light of the Sadguru presence, your reality is apparent. You cannot debate it. It's not conceptual. You see? So this don't leave for anything in the world. See? And the only way to not leave it is to not come into the hypnosis of thought. I'm not talking about not leaving it with your attention. See? Although if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. If you're too obsessed with your thought, then for some time keep your attention also. It's okay. See? But to not be under the hypnosis of a thought which is claiming that you are something, you see, that you are something, and then it seems to, this presence seems to, but that seeming, you see, is a very powerful seeming, and that's why this Leela seems so tangible to us. In fact, we must not even call it Leela till we see the Leela-ness of it. Otherwise, it's hypocritical. See? Oh, all this is just a Leela, but I don't know about tomorrow. What am I going to do? I have no money. My boyfriend is leaving me. All of this. Then don't say Leela. You see, Leela means you see the unreality of it. And to see the unreality of it means you can't be bothered. You see? So better not to say Maya, Leela, all these things till it becomes a lived experience. And the only way in which it is a lived experience is under God's light. Because only in God's light do you see that nothing here can hurt you. Buying into the philosophy of the head, you cannot live a life empty of fear. Because everything is going. You are going to die. In the mind's philosophy, you are going to die. So what's your tactic now? That whatever little time I have, let me grab. And then what? No, let's not look at then what. That has become the philosophy of man. Who is it serving? You don't know. Because your being doesn't want any of that. It's just an idea that you are serving. So you wrote a book and now you are attached to the main character so much that even though the truth is calling you, you're like, no, I want the book character to find the truth. The one that is just a figment of your narrative can never meet this truth. See? And you want the evidence in the narrative in the book to change because you found God. Imagine what kind of author is that who got so attached to the character that they wrote, and they will claim their finding of God only when that character in the book will find. It's the most absurd thing, no? That is the human condition. And as long as the book and its narrative and all of its relationships and things in the book still seem real, then let's not call it Maya or Leela. Because to call it, even to say it is the Leela, is to make a big claim, which is to say that you are beyond it. That you are beyond it. In a way, I'm happy if you make that claim, because then life will make you meet it as well. So this presence, this being, the presence of this being is the foundation of our true life. Our life in God. And maybe as we go further, you may even make the claim our life as God, one with God. But don't rush into those things. Is only through this. And only through the grace of God do we meet someone who is living in God's light to be able to point us and say, this is your true life and you're missing it for nonsensical temporary things. and all of you can spot it. And it is coming just from a conceptual knowledge. You see? Like when you meet someone who says to you, "Oh, the dosa in Central Park, New York is really very nice." You see? You can spot it in the way that they are saying it, whether they've experienced it or they've really just read about it or seen a YouTube. You can tell, no, the difference. In the same way, you can tell when you meet someone whether they're speaking in the light of true experience or they're just talking conceptual spirituality.
This spiritual so it feels like the ego is playing, wants to play that role of the decision maker. In a way, you just
Exactly.
you feel like hard, like you're just saying, and I feel like that mind has been playing that role.
Wanting to, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it.
This is very good. So let's go through and see. It is the light of the universe, and that's why we call it God. This presence of being gives light to this waking state, this universe, this experience universe. You see? It is the light. The ego wants to do that. It wants to be all important. It wants to think everything revolves around it. It wants more and more power and glory and everything to make that a seeming reality for itself. But it cannot overcome. It can never, just a bundle of thoughts can never, as pretend as they might, as authoritatively as the mind may speak, it can never take the place of this light. It may want to be, so that is the first. The second role is it may want to be your guru. It may want to guide you. You are constantly doing, do this is right, this is wrong, this can't work there. You see? But upon meeting your true guru, you discover your guru in your heart, who is guiding you towards your reality and not the fakeness. You see? And the reality this mind can never fathom, so it can never be your true guru. It can only be conceptual. See? So, what else? It is the bringer of comfort in our life. And you've seen this. When you become tired and weary of your mind, where do you go to? You want to be in silence. You want to be with yourself. You say, I just want to be with myself. What are you yearning for? You're yearning to be in your own presence. Even people at work, they say, I'm going to go take some time, go into the mountains and just be with myself and not think. You see? Because although the mind will claim to give you all the advice and reassurance and comfort, it is just a hellish existence, and we get tired of that hellish existence and we want to escape. We want to go on pilgrimages, we want to go to Satsang. But what are we escaping? We are escaping the tormentor in our own head. There are friends who think that they will escape the tormentor in our heads by building farmhouses outside the city. Doesn't work, because they take the tormentor with them. You see, and initially it may seem nice, but after a few days they get worried about water problem and security problem and rat problem and things, because they took the problem with them. You see? So the comforter is only, the rejuvenator is only in our heart. All true rejuvenation of life force and life energy can only come from here. You may take the best Ayurvedic retreat, but if you don't fall into your heart during the retreat, nothing will happen. Your body may be helped somehow. This is the light of the universe. This is your guide. This is your reassurance. This is that which animates this whole universe, and especially that form which you consider to be your master is only an instrument for this presence, guiding you back to this light. This is the magnificence, the vastness of this light, which the mind will quickly just say, oh, that's it. That is the hypnosis of the mind.
And further, I can see that very clearly. Same time, when again I will come to that point when I am that headless state. To give you the example, I was just in front of my shelf and I forgot what I want. So at that stage, I was behind in my heart saying that I'll wait for, not use my mind to recollect what was that, just wait. I simply lost my ability of doing anything, or even will to do anything.
Yes.
How to perform it?
Are you saying that is a good thing or a bad thing?
But nothing next happened. I cannot perform. I have to go back to mind to get to the next step.
Why is the next step important?
I cannot stand in front of shelf.
Why? Who judges, who determines? Good, thank you. Okay, so one point in the magnificence of the light of presence I forgot to mention is that how do we determine what is good and what is bad? You say that standing in front of a shelf not knowing what I wanted is a very bad thing. I would say that if you spend your whole life in front of a shelf but in the presence of God, it's a very good life. What is true? What is good or bad? How do we determine the goodness and badness of something? By reading books on ethics, we've not been able to solve it. We've been talking about justice for as long as the human race has existed, and yet the world is full of injustice. All good, bad, right, wrong, ethics, we've not been able to resolve in our mind. Is there a resolution possible to this? How can we find it?
Well, I think I was trying to meet not only my mind's expectations but also others' expectations by using it.
Yes, so the mind, just like the being is one, the mind is also basically the same one. So when we say our mind or the other mind, is like that. This is without realizing, we leave the determinant of goodness to the head, and then we say to the heart, dance. Show me what you got. Isn't it? Because if you were really God's presence, then I would not be standing in front of a shelf right now. He's trying to seed doubt in you. So the only way to determine what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false is whether it is coming from God's light or it's not. It's coming contaminated by the ego shadow. And that's how life becomes so simple. What is good? Did it come from God? What is true? Did it come from God? Was it right what I did? Did it come from God? What is right what I'm doing, more importantly, is it coming from God? What else can we ask for in life? We got guidance, we got the creation of the universe, we got the arbiter of what is good and what is bad. You got self-knowledge, intuitive insight. You got Okay, one more thing. When do you really taste this world in its beauty? Even this world, forget about the truth of what you are, the nirguna, forget about that. Even this world, when you're fully in God's presence, when you're in the mind, this whole, you could be in front of the most beautiful river, but you'll be stuck in your head thinking, oh, what's happening in my life? So the only way to experience this world is also in God's light. I'm still ranting after his statement. Nothing spectacular. Everything is given to us with this, even the tasting of this world is magnified in God's light. If I taste this lemonade, just thinking about, oh, some worth thing, something like that, I won't even taste it. But to taste it, empty of the hypnosis of the mind, is to experience God even in the presence of this world.
I think Vedas do that exercise. You don't make the narration. Like the pure perception.
Yeah.
Everything became more.
Exactly. That's why I pass on the salad bowl. Like, are you guys seeing this? So much light, so much color, so much subtlety of sound, so much beauty everywhere. And we miss it because that's what I'm calling a dead life. Because we don't even experience the world without God's light. In our selfishness, in wanting more and more and more, we don't receive anything at all. Even the beauty of one moment, if you were to fathom, you would meet God. So don't buy into the mind telling you, oh, so what? So everything, literally every single thing that is good, that is worthy, that is alive, is shining in the light of this presence. That you are able to even contemplate or inquire is because of the presence of the Sadguru, the presence of the intuitive divinity within us. So to call yourself spiritual or godly is to dedicate whatever you take yourself to be to this presence of God. Without that, it is not a true spirituality. So if this presence is the only ability to judge the goodness or badness of anything, including what should be done and what should not be done, then whose will should we follow? To come to the Supreme Intelligence, I and to then refer to the most limited form of intelligence that we encounter. But we refer to the most limited form of intelligence to tell us about ourselves and our life and what we should do and what is right and what is wrong. Wouldn't that be a mistake? You found a sage living within you. You see? But also living within you is a selfish snake. Whose advice would you take? If snake is too much, selfish mosquito, whatever.
Most of the time it plays saying that, well, I'm not doing it for me, but for my family, my kids. I'm trying to say I'm not selfish. So I can
Yes,
see
would the selfish mosquito know more about how to be good to your wife and family than the sage within you? Check on these things.
Father?
Yes, yes. Yes, say, please say.
The important. Yes, I'm coming. The importance of what you're saying in this satsang, and the foundation of this is really, really important. And I haven't been living it always, and the hypnosis is playing, and that's seen right now. And I see that in the light of satsang today that the only excuse is just of not staying here is just fear.
Yes, yes.
And,
Good. So, when we say the only excuse is fear, it is not the experience of a feeling called fear. You see, and let's dive into this and see if this resonates. It is not the experience of the vibration that we may call fear. It is the mind's protestations about something valuable being taken away, or losing something, or not getting something which the mind itself is taken to be valuable, which is basically desire or aversion. You see, so that which we usually call fear actually is not just the experience of fear, you see, but also the mind's idea of missing out or not having or losing that we have, some notion like that.
Yeah, like what you said, that
Yes.
now that God is seeing, then this should change. Like it should be different than what it is. But that's counterintuitive to what you're showing.
Exactly. So instantly it is different, but not evaluatively.
Yeah.
Instantly it is different. When you step away from the hypnosis of your head for one instant, your life is completely changed. But if you were to put your life back into a temporal narrative saying, oh, but this is how I started when I came to Satsang, and this is where I am now, and things are not, then you're already back in the hypnosis. You see? So that's why I say it's completely different way of living. You see? But both cannot merge or cannot be juggled together. Your life is switched out from the past instantly as you have dropped your head right now. But if you try to make a conclusion about how it is going, then you are back in the wrong place. You see? Then what will the mind say? It will say, yes, for a moment or two it was nice, but here I am again. You see? So we went back into the storybook idea about ourselves. When you step back out of the storybook, you're no longer in the story. You see? Then you say, okay, so how is it going for me now? Am I out of the story? You're back in the story. Yeah? So the need to get a conclusive confirmation into our progress is one of the biggest impediments to our progress. Because the one that started this journey, like Guruji said, is finished by the journey. But we keep bringing it back to life by tracking its narrative. Yes. So how are you doing now? I'm asking everyone in the room, including you. Where will we go for that? The minute you go back into the evaluative, judgmental aspect of yourself, back into the narrative which we may try to make pleasing, but actually is living in a hellish way.
Yeah.
You see? So, as opposed to that, God's presence is here. And I told you so much, and I've not even scratched the surface in everything that I've said so far about it. You see? Cannot scratch the surface in all of this. The light, the guide, the comforter. The true enjoyer, in the true sense of enjoyment. You cannot even taste a glass of juice without it.
Yep.
That's the thing with desire. That as our mind is afflicted by desire and we are buying into all of this, even if the desires are coming true, it's always more, next. You see? So it's a completely different life. All you have to do is snap out of your head. Ultimately, it boils down to this. Either your mind is telling the truth or I am.
Wow.
That is finally all said and done, that's what it boils down to.
That's wow, that.
About who you are, about what life is, about what is right and what is wrong, about God's presence, about love, about the nature of this universe. The pointing from both these sources of seeming knowledge you have within you are so different from each other that if you try to manage both and juggle both, you will be very, very confused. You will be very, very full of oscillations and full of dizzy roller coaster type life. You must build a permanent house in your heart. Don't leave it at all costs. And when you do leave it, come back home as soon as you can. Don't think about why I left it, oh, I should not have done that, I'm being not spiritual, I'm whatever. Don't think of it. Come back. Because the mind would love to convince you that you are unworthy and therefore you should continue to be unworthy. Have you seen the mind's philosophy? I was unworthy. Okay, so then you should come back home immediately. I broke my fast. I was supposed to not eat calories, but I ate a salad. I broke the fast. I was on a 36-hour fast, but I broke my fast and ate a salad. What would the mind have you do? Eat the dessert after that. No, don't return to the fast now. You're unworthy now. You might as well. Isn't it? In the same way, first it trips you up. It says, come. I said, but you heard in Satsang not to come to me. You still came. Why you came? You're so bad. You're unworthy. No, you just return.
Yeah.
When you spot it, you drop it. That's all. That's all that's required of you. That's all. But if you spot it and then you keep repeating it, you see, then you're falling for the mind's vicious cycle. And the vicious cycle only leads to one thing, which is to live the dead life. Life full of suffering and all the worst that life has to offer. With some minor glimpses of winning here and there. You see, I used to say this often earlier because I learned so much from my kids. So when I was playing with my kids, any game, really young. So if you're always winning, the kid will lose interest very fast. You're playing some game and you just keep winning. Cricket or cards or whatever card game or Uno, whatever you're playing with your kids. If you win every single time, they will not play with you anymore. In the same way, the mind also tricks you like this. It gives you the glimmer of some hope in that way of existence. So that you don't lose interest. Something is possible here to win also. You see, that's why the world is so attracted to the notion of winning. You see, but what are we winning against? We are only achieving some desire. Are we winning our heart back? Are we winning our true life back? Are we living in God's light?
Against the insight.
Say that again.
It claims the insight. It claims the insight.
It claims everything.
Claims it.
All the insight is because of its smartness. All the thing is because how good it is. Everything is its own. And then it flips also very fast. Say, I'm the worst. I'm to blame for everything. I'm just like terrible. There's nobody as bad as me. This kind of thing. Either way, it is win-win for the mind.
When you say you have to believe me or your mind, you said that, Father?
Yes.
I've been believing the mind over you, and thank you for that.
Yes. And actually, I need even more than your belief. Because actually,
Yeah.
there is no way to believe what I'm saying. You not believe what I'm saying. You have to meet something deeper in you called faith. Unwavering faith.
Beautiful.
All that your mind is proposing to you can be met with belief. All that I'm offering to you can only be met intuitively. Otherwise, it will just become more stuff for your mind. All of spirituality, if everything that you heard today was met just in the mind, then I've left you worse off, not better off than when Satsang started. Because the spiritual ego loves to know stuff. If I've given more stuff for it to know, then I've only made things more difficult for myself, actually. That's how it is. This is what I was saying earlier. That when you don't leave, but when you do, come back home. See? Instead of, like, that is the whole story of the prodigal son. You see, because if you like, oh, I left now, father will not accept me. You see, my heart will be now tainted. It's not true. Just come back home. But if we insist that, oh, I have made this mistake, so now I will make 55 more mistakes and Father help me. That can't be it. No? I made a mistake. You see, and because I made the mistake, I'm continuing to make mistakes and I will make hundreds more. I'm saying, come back home. No. But that is what the mind wants to do. That is how this playfully saying, this battle is fought. You went to the mind. Now the mind is telling you stuff about yourself which is based on spirituality. You see? And saying you did something bad, you should not have done this. Now you're going to be stuck like this, you're going to be like this forever, there is no hope for you. Because that one salad, now you're eating so much dessert. You see? And I'm saying, come back to the health spa, you're saying. That's how it will play out. So fight on my behalf. That's what I want my children to do. That's what I want all of you to do. I started with not a single grey hair and I started sharing Satsang. Not a single grey hair. In 12 years. At least all of you kids can start fighting on my behalf.
So when we say that the mind steals the inside, just saying.
The mind?
Steals the inside. Oh, but
Inside
that's
like
because
that?
now we say that the mind takes over the inside.
Yeah, it sort of contaminates it. You know, it makes an interpretation of it which is just
But
timid.
So just as we
Just
so,
like this. Like, what's so special in my being?
That's true. So no, I was just looking.
That's a
because-
perfect example of
Okay,
this.
then
You're
we-
meeting this presence.
Yeah.
You see? But if your mind is still the arbiter of what is right, wrong, good, bad, it will say, yeah, nothing so great in this. This I always had. इसमें क्या है? So you must notice this tendency that we give supremacy to the mind judgment over our heart's calling. That is what it would mean to contaminate it, or this is what the whole whack-a-mole thing was about. You see? Because anything I may say, the mind will pop up and say, yeah, I'm getting this. Yeah. No, not you. Yes, you're saying, no,
Yeah.
not you.
So
Mhm.
that's what I
Yes,
was
exactly,
saying. But now when
exactly.
you show me a light or whatever, like it can't grab that. I mean, I see that it can't take because it's not a narration in any way.
It's not narrative, it's not perceivable, there's no way your mind can meet this.
So I mean,
That's
if
why I
it-
said I don't need your belief.
Yeah. So when you said I don't need your belief,
Yeah.
because 2-3 days I've been saying, but how does my mind know this? How does it know this? So it is because it was probably just heard in the head.
That is all the
Yeah.
mind is.
No, I'm saying it can repeat what it can hear. But like when you said, I don't need your belief,
Yes.
and I'm showing it, that itself it can't
Exactly.
take that.
Cannot meet it in any way, just in terms of words and language.
But it can make a comment, no, and like and that.
It can make, it is only making comments. It cannot make the truths.
So when I asked it like that, the question was like,
It's okay, it's not about you. I feel like it is very useful for that ranting to happen, because many times we have this and yeah, this presence is here, but then is that the absolute? You first meet the presence.
the
You
question
mind
was
wants to
like,
jump.
am I missing something or is it the one I
Exactly.
found it? That was the doubt.
Yeah, but you don't realize it is your mind's way of discounting. It's like it notices the new king arriving into the city, you see, and it wants to build every possible defense. No, this can't be your king. This one, you see.
So and if they're chosen that they're waiting for someone to come very powerful or strong in their
Are
thing.
you
to
warrior?
take it
Do you
over,
have an
like a
army?
warrior, you know, who's going to fight against Rhythm.
My kingdom is different. The kingdom of God is within you. You see, that was the promised kingdom. But all of them had the wrong idea.
Hello, Father. Hello, Father.
Hello. How are you, my dear? Are you good?
We are trying to figure out how the device works for the moment.
How the device works, yes.
Yeah, on YouTube we can't hear you anymore.
On?
We hear you very badly now.
Okay, how is it now? Like this?
Can you talk a bit more?
That petition has reached. You heard the laughter, so it must be good.
We got too excited about being invited to speak, and we somehow put you off the speaker. So I'll pass the phone to Colin for you to
put me
talk to
off the
him,
speaker.
because it was him
No
needing your
problem.
guidance.
It's okay. It's okay. Yes.
And yeah, and
Yes.
Very happy to be with you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you know to put it on speaker now? Okay. Hello, Father.
Hello, my dear. How's it? How's everything for you?
It's not. It's going all right. I am. I've been in Romania, and now I'm back in Portugal, and I'm got really emotional about leaving
Yes.
Romania and leaving my family.
Yes. Because you were there for how many days in Romania?
I think 2 months.
2 months. And you had a lot of fun there. Yes. So if then you left the place where it was so nice and you had a lot of fun and you did not miss it and cry about it, then there would be something wrong. Isn't it very natural for somebody, especially your age, to have that reaction? It's something very normal and natural. I used to visit my grandparents sometimes as a child, and even for a week, then I would come back to my house and then I would feel so sad and upset. It's very natural to feel that. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, so don't try to push the feeling away or to overcome it or to be like super spiritual or something like that. Let it release itself. It's completely fine to feel sad for a few days. And in a few days you will be completely fine.
Thank you, Father.
Don't worry. It's all good.
My little father, you're a bit concerned about the school. I'm also concerned about about my school and about where I'm supposed to stay, and it's
The best part about being your age is that none of that is your problem. You have people who are older, who are your parents, they'll all decide, let them sort it out. You enjoy it. It's okay.
thank you, Father.
Yes, very good. Just enjoy yourself. It's all good. If the grown-ups trouble you with this stuff, just tell them, but that's your job to decide. You may give your preference if you have one, but all this decision making till you're much older, you don't have to worry about it.
I believe I'll share with you. Colin finds his distance education school a bit hard.
Yeah.
It's a bit stressful for him.
Yeah.
And also, he kind of expressed, or not kind of, he said yesterday that he would like a normal life. And I know he's missing having friends, and yeah, we
Yes. So you as a parent have to rely on what I just said about how do we determine what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. You have taken his input, and that's very important to keep communicating with your children. But the decision lies with the parents, and the parents must rely on God for that decision making.
I to rely on you and Guruji for that decision.
Yes. And that
There is not the bad, but
That's good. So let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you, my child.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love to all of you.
Thank you so much. And I love you, Father.
Thank you, my dear.
And Grandma has been hearing you, and yeah, she's
Oh.
been staying around and being happy. So thank you.
Thank you, my loves. Thank you.
Thank you.
So beautiful today we've discussed that God's presence is within us. And in this presence, all that we could ever ask for, which is truthful and auspicious, is available and made known to us. This then becomes the foundation on which a life can be led, connected to God in this way. Connected to the true tree of life. And disconnected from the tree of knowledge. False knowledge, egoic knowledge, judgmental. So now what now is then the way to live? It's very simple. To allow this presence to guide this life, to allow it to move this body and this world as it sees fit, to live open and empty in this world, is how such a beautiful life can be lived. In this way, you will notice that guidance will come for that which you take yourself to be, as well as the seeming others around you. Don't rush into that, it will come on its own for many of you. It's happening very organically as well. But be careful not to fall into this trap that I can guide others, but the guidance cannot come from me, which is the sort of resistance that I've found in many of you. Yeah, my heart was just speaking. I was there and I don't know where these words were coming from. And I just started sharing with them, and I hope they follow, I hope they really, because it was very good guidance for them. But when it comes from me, I don't know, can the heart speak in words? I thought only the mind was words. Notice? So you would love for others to be obedient to the words that are coming from your heart. But the notion of following God's will with full obedience here can trigger some fear. That doesn't sound like freedom. Then what does? To follow the will of the most intelligent must be good, must be true, must be freedom. And if it is good enough for others that you are proposing it to, how come it's not good enough for you? Notice the ego's resistance, because the ego wanted egoic freedom, which is whatever comes to mind I should be able to do. Freedom is whatever comes to my mind I should be able to do, nobody to stop me. And we thought that coming to Satsang will give us even more of this. So many representations of this which you'll notice in the world, that many feel like to lead a very rebellious life, or to lead a life where there's no plan, nothing, you see, like that. Although it sounds like all the right stuff, but disconnected from the foundation of God's presence, that becomes as mental, if not worse, as any other life. I have decided that I will have no plan now. How many of you can spot that that sounds like a new plan? I have decided that I will have no plan now. Is the new plan? Can you see that? So in the mind we may play these games and take positions of planning or spontaneous. None of that will help. It's got nothing to do with any of that. What is the way out of this? Every tradition, every religion, every spirituality has told us to live in God's light, follow God's will. That's it. And whether the merging of that which you take yourself to be, following God's will and living in God's light, whether that merging is apparent or not, whether the mind becomes fully dissolved or not, whether you come to manonasha or you stay with some tendencies, all that is none of your business anymore. Because you are thinking about it and you are wanting to be empty of mind and ego will not make you empty of mind and ego. You are resting in God's light. You are allowing it to unfold moment to moment. Is the only possible medicine you can take.
What do you think this contemplation that we do? I think that is also a plan, but that is a necessary plan to burn the conditioning, right?
Yeah, so there is neither planning nor spontaneity. Anything that you can determine, anything that has an opposite is not it. What is the contemplation? Yeah, we looked at that, no? What is the contemplation? It is an offering from the heart, is it? Which hopefully tugs at your heart to meet an offering from your intuitive presence so that you can meet it within yourself without needing an external form, and you learn how to live in this way. The questions of a contemplation may seem like a traditional sort of thing. The questions of contemplation: are you aware now? Can you stop being? What is true? What is good? All of that. You may think that, oh, these are like question paper things you have to solve to clear the exam of spirituality. But if it is being met from our knowledge of right and wrong, sometimes I was noticing that what is happening is that we were not meeting the contemplations, we were quickly judging, oh, this is right, this is real, it's not real, I don't feel. You see? So the contemplations were not meant to activate your evaluative mind where you are saying, oh, I feel this is good, I feel this is bad, this is my view on this. Not any of that. It was just to allow your heart to unfold, to meet, to follow the scent of those words, to lead you to your own heart. And from your heart, even if the words were complete nonsense, nothing to do with what question was asked, that is music, that is beautiful. That is why I made the note about how should we contemplate. It is just to invoke that same presence where it is coming from. It is not the accuracy or the right and wrong of it. It is not. It's like an offering from the heart to the heart, so that we can learn to trust our own heart, and we get used to it. If you follow every day, we get used to living in this way. And sometimes as the words are coming up, it's also mentioned over there, spend your day like this. Spend your day like this. So that you experiment with it and you see that it is possible to live like this. It is not just something for satsang. It's not just something that you come to satsang, you are just free of all of this, then you go to work or with family, and then you get back into your old mental way of life. Thank you all of you who are online. You will disconnect now. Thank you. All my love to all of you. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai. Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.
Guru Kripa Kevala. Well, when I started that, how will I speak today? So, how many of you have seen this in the movie called Sonu or T2? What? What is it? Something. What is Sonu ke T2 ki So in that movie there's a scene, at the end, when the best friend becomes too tired, and spoilers, but it's old enough to have spoilers. He says, बात आखिर इतनी सी है, या वो सच्ची और मैं झूठा. So ultimately it all boils down to that. Either the mind is telling the truth and I am lying, or I am telling the truth and the mind is lying. Fundamentally, it is that. It cannot be both ways. It's a fun scene.
Sonu ke Tito ki girlfriend is something.
Good. Wedding? No, is there no?
Shadi.
That I missed.
Shadi.
Shadi. Either the mind is deliberate about what this is or I am. That's what it boils down to. Because both our points of view are irreconcilable now. You cannot make a marriage out of both these separate points of view. It's impossible to do. Like either you are an object in this whole universe, tiny little thing. Of course, this will appeal to your ego also, but or you are that in which this whole universe appears and disappears. How will we make both of them dance together? Not possible. Most of us are already betting our life. We're betting our life on one way of life. I'm here to ask you to change the bet. But it is a bet of your whole life. You bet it so far on the mind's way. Somebody has to bet it in your heart's way. Come what may. Not because it may be better, not because you may be happier, only because it is true. The 2 points of view between your heart, your true intuitive insight, and your head are so distinct that you cannot make an altar to both and worship them together. There cannot be God and ego, God and me. What is true? God or me? God or ego? And bet your life on your answer. If you bet your life on God, I promise you an eternal life, timeless. But I don't promise you anything in that which is within time. The mind may offer you everything that is available in this world, in this realm of perceptions, but nothing here will last. If you pick the ego, if you pick your mind, you don't really know when this question will be asked again of you. You don't know how much time we have in this life. We don't know what may happen tomorrow or right now. This is the only time. Just like that scene in the movie. He's about to get married, no? Some of you about to get married. And the boy says, his best friend says, this is the time. You have to pick. Either she's telling the truth and I'm lying. Or from whatever you've known of me, you have to come with me. You feel you can bet your life on God's presence in your heart or no? Some fear is natural. I'm not asking to change anything outside. And if you truly consider God to be God, then all auspiciousness, all grace can arise only from that. whatever you are scared of, bring that into your light and allow that to burn. That is the auspicious burning. That is the true fire ceremony. Don't hide from yourself. Bring it to your own light. Bring it to God. Ask for God's grace to free you from that. For you to become open and empty. For you who have discovered God's presence in your heart, you really have no escape, or you have no excuse now. Actually, you can escape back into the comfortable hell of the mind, but you have no excuse for that anymore.